Hi, my name is Megan Atuvle, and I make interactive floors and walls for a living. And every so often, I get an email from a very, very large company. It was from a company that has a lot of money and does a lot of things in the entertainment space. I'm not going to name them, but you probably know who they are, asking us to either reduce or remove our prices for them, as though that would be doing us a favor. And so I got one of those emails this week, and it just kind of inspired me to make a video showing you how you can add your brand or your logo to any LUMOplay effect really, really easily. So I would like to introduce you to a very fun and extremely socially conscious company, Profitopia, and we'll be using them as our case study. So I'm going to show you in this video 3 different ways that you can add your brand to LUMOplay, assuming that you're willing to pay the very small amount of money that we charge in order to keep the software supported. Let's get started. If you're interested in learning more about these tools, we have an entire series of tutorials that you can go to learn about each one of our templates. I'll link to them somewhere up there and also in the description of this video. So I'm gonna launch LUMOplay. This is LUMOplay. This is a software that we're using. You can get a free version of this software from lumoplay.com. If you want to make custom apps, particularly if you're a brand and you want to make custom apps with your brand, you do need to pay for the software. So I'll throw the prices up on the screen. You can check them out. It's really affordable. Once you have LUMOplay installed, the templates live in a section called Motion Maker. Before you start making anything with Motion Maker, it's really important to make sure that, especially if you're designing on a different computer than your final installation, just make sure that the display resolution and aspect ratio on your design machine are the same as they will be on your final installation. So if you're using a projector that's 1080p, do not design your effect at 4K. Especially check the aspect ratio. If it's a 16:9 projector and you're designing on a 16:10 design installation machine, then you won't necessarily get the results that you expect. So right click on your desktop, go to display settings, and just double check that your display resolution and aspect ratio on the machine that you're using to design your effect are the same as they are on the projector that you're going to be using for your final installation. The first way that I want to show you how to add your logo is the particle image, because this template really lends itself well to some pretty cool effects on logos. So you can click create and name your effect. And you're just gonna change a couple of things in this effect. So I'm gonna add a background, and these are just some quick images that I whipped up using ChatGPT. None of this is gonna go into our app library. This is just an example, but I've got a nice little, behind these particles, a nice little set of skyscrapers. And for the background particles, first we'll go into the image particles and just put in our image. So I want these particles to be in the shape of a new logo. Right now they're in the shape of the LUMOplay logo. So we'll replace that with the beautiful Profitopia logo, and you can see the original image as well as particles behind that image that stick to the logo. I can adjust the size of this image, and I can also change the particles. So if I want to give it, more stars, if I'm feeling stars, that I can change it to that. There's a bunch of different particles that you can choose from. I'm going to put it on Nebula because it's always been my personal favorite. And then the image transparency, I'm going to turn it up a little bit, so you still see that logo really clearly. The particle size, if I turn that up, it'll have more of an impact. So the size affects everything from the trails to the size of the particles themselves. And the velocity I'm going to also turn up, so that way they move further. The particles will automatically take their color from the logo image that you're using in this case, so it'll automatically match the brand colors that you've uploaded as part of your image. I'm done adding my image particles. The trails are enabled so you can kind of see these little trails, and the trails also have their own particles, so you can kind of change the size and stuff of all of these things and make it more or less dramatic. And that's basically it. So that's one way that you can add your logo to an effect. I'm going to close this and we'll start on the next way, which is to use the pond effect. So if I go to the fish pond and I click create, and just so you know, I'm using exactly the same graphics for all three of these examples. So go in, change the background. There it is. There's two different types of masks that you can use for this. The overlays section will allow you to add a logo or a mask on top of everything. But what I want is I want something that will still be affected by the ripples, but the fish will swim underneath it, just to give it a little bit of extra depth. So to do that, I'm going to go into the background area again and use this underwater foreground. So it is a mask that goes under the water, but on top of the fish. And we'll put our logo there. So there it is. So you can see the fish are swimming underneath it, but it's under the water, so it'll still be affected by the ripples. And I personally think that's a really cool way to incorporate your logo into one of these effects. And now we'll go to the third way. And the third way is kind of the most standard way that people will incorporate their logos. It's with the idle image. So let's go to falling shapes and we'll create a quick falling shapes example. And for this, we are going to use one of the overlays. So we're going to go to the idle and put our logo there. And we'll turn the alpha all the way up so it's not transparent. So in this case, the logo appears on the screen only when nobody is interacting with the screen. As soon as I start interacting, the logo will disappear. So it's kind of a nice way to incorporate your brand into an experience without having it really in people's faces while they're playing with whatever it is you've made for them. I'm going to put the background in. So the background part of the logo is revealed when you interact. And I'm also going to change these falling shapes from balls to coins because I think money just seems more appropriate for this Profitopia. Profitopia cares a lot about money. Change this to shiny. You can see there's way too many particles on the screen at this moment, so I'm also going to turn that size down and turn down the amount per second so that it's not quite as insane. But yeah, if you see it running choppy, then you should probably turn down the number of particles that you're generating. And we'll just change these to kind of more like coin colors. So that got kind of a silvery one. And we'll go for like a more gold color. So yeah, now I've got some coins falling in Profitopia on the logo, and when you play with it, you'll see that the coins move around and the logo disappears. So that's it. 3 ways to add your logo to any interactive floor or wall effect. There's tons more, so if you're interested in seeing more videos like this where it's just a quick explainer of how to do something simple, let me know in the comments. I'll make more of them. Once you're done making your effects, all you need to do is close it and hit publish. And again, if you are going to do a lot of these, it's worth having the LUMOplay Maker license because then you can publish as many new custom apps as you want to without having to pay a publishing fee. But if you do want to use the licensed tier that is intended for not-for-profits, then you will just have to pay a fee. It's under $100, very easy. Click publish, click this little check mark, and the app is uploaded to your library. You'll be able to use it in all of the installations that you own. I hope that you enjoyed watching this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it. If you decide to use LUMOplay, I'd love to see videos or photos of your project. If you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at info@lumoplay.com. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you want to show us some support, it doesn't really cost anything. You can use our free software and just hit like on this video. Please let us know if you like what we're doing and share us with your friends. And that's about it. I'll see you next week with another tutorial.